Hi, this is Clinnin, and I'm including this as a commentary on my study, Recomposing Freshman Writing Processes with Word Processors. And I'm including this audio commentary because I wanted to create a meta commentary on my writing process, but I found that there was no neutral way to do this. If I wrote by hand, it would just demonstrate some of the issues that I found exemplified in my study, in that it would come off very freeform and focused on my own narrative. Whereas if I wrote through Microsoft Word, it would probably come off more analytical and evidence-based. And as Melvin Kranzberg said, technology is neither good nor bad, nor is it neutral. And I found the same thing was true with writing technologies. I recognize that even by speaking aloud and recording myself that this isn't pure. I'm still using technology. But my project is on writing and the composition process. So I found that by recording myself, it allowed me an ecstatic experience of stepping outside of that, at least momentarily. So some notes on my handwritten experience. I found that when writing by hand, my experience was pretty analogous to Nietzsche's when he says that his writing is more fluid as opposed to the mechanical, tight prose of his typewriter. I found that I was more focused on the I and my personal narrative in connection with writing, and I believe this was because I was the tool. I was not being mediated there. The pen was acting as a prosthetic device to amplify myself. I found that I was jumping around more. My structure was all over the place, which was possibly due to my insomnia. I did write this at 1:30 in the morning a few weeks ago, but was more likely a stream of consciousness. The pen just seemed to flow, and my thoughts flowed with it as well. Maybe if I'd used a different pen, if I'd used a ballpoint that was scratchier, I would have written a different piece. I had difficulty finding words or spelling the word occurred. And after this, I realized the ways in which I really am dependent on technology. Microsoft Word will go through and automatically correct my misspelling of occurred or recommendation. And it happens so instantaneously that I don't even realize that I've created an error. I'm busy writing the rest of my sentence. Microsoft is busy cleaning up after me. I also noticed that there was an incredible amount of physical discomfort when I was writing by hand. My grandfather, I mentioned, was the one who taught me how to write, and he's left-handed, so I write like a left-handed, right-handed person. And after about 5 minutes, my wrist just starts cramping up, and I don't want to write anymore, so I think I write shorter pieces by hand. So some notes on my typed experience. I found that I definitely slipped into a graduate-level discourse, and I wrote an analytical, argumentative paper without intending to. I had wanted to write an ethnographic piece, but I found that I couldn't, and it makes me think about the ways that I'm conditioned to write through this technology. So when I open up a blank Microsoft Word document and the cursor is there blinking at me, I'm conditioned to write in a certain way that is professional and academic. So I found that I was less focused on the ethnographic element of my writing while using the word processor. And although I do mention my writing process in one paragraph, it's more evidence for my argument. I go through and I try to change my language. It's less biased and less emotionally charged. And I do note in my track changes moments where I feel like I need to go back and change the use of my word Luddite, possibly because I know Dr. Collier will then call me a techno-enthusiast and possibly a techno-determinist. Possibly also just because I know that academic discourse requires me to remain as neutral as possible. On an ethnographic note, it took me a lot longer to write on a word processor. I don't just start a sentence. It takes me a while to think through what I'm going to say. And then once I start typing, I don't change what I write. And so because of this, it's a painful process, and I have serious writing anxiety. That's actually analogous to the pain that I have in my wrist when I write by hand. I also was multitasking quite a bit when I wrote on the Word document. I was in the library. There was a guy on the third floor who was snoring and taking a nap. I was researching articles and pulling from books, and I got sidetracked into the rabbit hole of academia. I was responding to student emails on a Saturday, and then, of course, I was checking Facebook and Twitter. I don't write on the computer late at night as part of my winding down process, so it's easier to get sidetracked with all of these things during business hours, even on a weekend. So overall, I am convinced that the writing process is changing because of technology, and I do think that composition instructors need to reconceive the process, but I also think that it's a valuable tool, a valuable change of pace to use more handwritten exercises, if only for the low stakes, low anxiety approach to writing. Thank you.